Hello, welcome back to that Eurovision site, Eurovision with the Slice of Life. Yes, it's that girl again. She's back again. Hi, I'm Kittens, and I'm here with the lovely Angus. Say hi, Angus.
Hi, that boy is back again.
And we are here to talk about Finland with UMK 2025.
It sure is a national final.
It sure is a national final. So 8th of February, six songs. We'll talk about that bit later. Six song Finnish national final. Um, Finland have gone big in Eurovision in the last 4 or 5 years. I think that's fair to say they've gone from being kind of struggling a little bit to being the center of attention. And we had obviously a very close, getting close to it in with Kylia a few years ago. Um, and yeah, so UMK's back. There's not really a lot of changes that we know of yet, as we are recording this, to how it's working. We've had the songs revealed, in their traditional manner of release drop feeding us one a day, so that the fans can get no normal bedtimes. Um, and yeah, apart from something that has occurred, this has been a very standard national final for Finland so far. I mean, what do you think about if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach?
Do I really love UMK's approach, just with how they do the points for UMK and all that? Not entirely, but it works for them. It is definitely part of also um just the identity of the show by now. And I've said this on many a podcast, many a video. It's very important for a country, and if you have a national final for a national final, to have a identity that people can work with or work around if they want to do something different. So I do think in that sense it's perfectly fine for them to not change anything. There's also a lot of enthusiasm clearly in Finland, both from musical professionals and from the watching public, it seems. So no problems with that whatsoever. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I, I don't think there's anything. I don't think they're doing anything that wrong, you know. Um, I love that it is a one night national final and we're done. I really wish more countries would take this approach. I love that they are seemingly quite careful in how they pick songs. We'll talk about something else in a minute. I'm alluding to something, but they seem to try and go for not all kind of the same. And they try and inject a little bit of variety, and they're trying to think about, well, how is this going to be as a show, and how is this going to deliver what we need to deliver? I think when you have quite a small pool of songs that you've got to get it down to, and I imagine there are lots of people who would apply for this. I forget the exact numbers if we had them. But it's a popular show, and there is a very flourishing music scene in Finland. So I don't think for one second that this would be like, not a popular thing to do. So it's I think it's interesting to get it down to that small amount of songs, and if you are doing that, you need to be so much more careful as opposed to, say, Lithuania, where you've got 45 songs and you're putting, a good amount of people up on stage. It's got to be a very careful selection, and I feel like they've done that at least partially this year.
Yeah, I just checked. Apparently, there are 485 received submissions. For viewers, a bit of context on that. Netherlands, which has I believe roughly like three times the population of Finland, and where there is also a lot of enthusiasm about Eurovision, gets usually like in the 200, 300 range, if I'm not mistaken. Germany, which was also, even when it was doing badly, had a lot of submissions. Not this year, where it's all very different, but previously had around like 650, but it's like Germany's way bigger. So that's a lot of submissions considering how just the size of Finland population-wise.
And I also think just the amount of people who get through, like, okay, you get 2,000 to 3,000 people apply for Mellow or something every year. And but there's 30 something acts, who go through. When you are going down to seven, that is like an incredible challenge. So yeah, I feel like we should quickly talk about the elephant in the room, which was that how does time, was that this week?
The
This
20, yes,
yeah,
yes, it
this
was merely 3 days ago, but that's
it's been
national
a
final
national
season.
final season, lads. Um, so a few days ago, as we were filming this video, as sorry, let's start again. A few days ago, before filming this video, we got the news that one of the candidates has been removed from the competition. One Morning Left have been removed from the competition with their song Puppy, and the band has disbanded. There were some allegations made against the lead singer, I believe, of the band. Um, I think the one thing to say about this is at least Ayla and the band took this seriously, and I'm glad that something got done. Um, it's we're talking about them having got through 400 and something people to get to this point, and that they have been, that they have done what they've done to, say we're not going to stand for this is, I think, quite admirable. And I feel like there's something to be said about that. The song was already quite divisive within the Eurovision community. I think that's fair to say. Um, that it was this kind of, how would you describe it, Angus? You're better with music classification than I do. Kind of,
It was relatively trashy, but I don't mean that's a descriptor, not quality signified, but also trashy piece of metalcore.
mm,
Very just loud, in your face, the kind of stuff that a lot of people think of when they don't like metal and they try to describe metal. It actually tends to be more
yeah,
this than what actual metal is. But that's a discussion for a different video.
yeah. So like I think that was already quite decisive. No, quite
Divisive.
divisive. Let's try that again. I think that was already quite divisive, and when the rumors started circulating about this, I think it was quite interesting to see whether anything was going to be done. And clearly something was done. Um, so we now only have six entrants in the competition. Ela has not said that they are going to replace. They are just proceeding with the six they have. So we have six artists left in the selection. We have Nea River, Nelly Matula, Vivi, Goldilocks, Kosti, and Erika Vikman, who is a name that will be familiar to everybody in the Eurovision community, I think, because um, she got close, didn't she? A few years ago with Cicciolina in 2020 to representing, and obviously 2020 did 2020. Anyway, so that is quite something. What do you think of the selection this year, Angus?
My relationship with songs in UMK are complicated. There are years that I quite like. There are years that I don't like whatsoever. This falls somewhere in between. I will say even some of the songs that I don't enjoy, I do at least find engaging. And there's something to be said about that. I rather be engaged by a song, even if it's like, oh, I have this issue with that or these problems with it, than that I'm bored or that I just in one ear out the other does nothing for me. I'll definitely give him that. I do feel you are can now really identify a specific Finnish sound that for UMK for the pop music. It's this very specific, very loud pop sound that they're using. Where everything's pretty much the same volume. That's something I don't enjoy, but that's just apparently Finnish pop music. What comes first, chicken or the egg, but that is what it is. Overall, there's a nice bit of variety in the genres.
Yeah.
Still, there's a good variety of genres, and there's not really something where I'm like, oh, these songs can cannibalize each other in the televote. Like, obviously, there's overlap between artists, and Finnish televoters have been known to just vote for name recognition. We've
Yeah.
seen the Rasmus go to Eurovision after all with something unforgivable. So anything's possible. But as such, I do think it's a good spread of different things to keep a wide variety of people interested. And it's just a nice selection of different songs.
Yeah, I feel I've I don't know what I was expecting from UMK, but I think they pretty much delivered it on the selection. Like I think, you do associate kind of like high energy or heartbreaking ballads with UMK. Um, thinking back to like some of the previous years that we have had these kind of like, yeah, tear my heart out a little bit kind of ballads. And while they've never I'm never going to be the person who wants to listen to those kind of songs. I do appreciate that they are in the selection because I think that's a sign that they're picking quite well. Um, yeah, we have five women in the selection. One man now, with Kosti. Um, I think there is like a little bit of me that wanted something completely off the wall in this selection. Like I remember what it was like when we first heard Cha Cha Cha. And I think like everybody was just like for a little bit like just agape for a little bit, just sitting there going, "What?" Um, I just I feel like I didn't have that moment in here, but it's not that I don't like any of the songs. I just didn't have that oh my God surprise moment that I would have liked to have seen. Shall we talk about some of the songs?
Let's do that.
I I mean I I mean I'm gonna pick on Nightmares first. Um, I've been a fan of Neo River for about 2 years ish. Um, I was literally like walking back from the gym when the press conference was on, and there was so much traffic noise, and I was like, did they, did they, did they, did they say her name? And I was just like baffled for a moment because I was just listening to it. Um, and yeah, wow. I was very glad to see her in there. I think she's a like really distinctive. She's got a quite interesting sound. And I think she's gonna be able to perform it really, really well. Um, I feel like it might not win, but I think she will do pretty well from it. And I think I get a lot of parallels to Bess from her. Not in terms of necessarily the sound, but in like the style and the attitude, if you know what I mean, in that like I get that she's just gonna go out there and do the thing and there's not gonna be a question about it.
Your goth
Uh
dance pop lady is sort of the vibe for both of them for their UMK entries, at least. I will also say for Naya River, I don't like Nightmares. It's not for me. It's just not for me. But it is the one song that does move away from my issues with finished production. This one has a lot of just dynamics, volume-wise, throughout the entire song, which I really appreciate. It just feels like the best produced song in UMK this year for me.
and she's worked a lot outside of Finland. She's done a lot of work in like America and stuff like that. So I wonder if there is a touch of that to this. That she's got those kind of American influences and learned those kind of things from where she's been and where she's been going. Um, I want to also mention Made of by Goldilocks because I think it sounds quite, I mean, everything in the selection sounds quite different. But I do think that it sounds quite distinctive and it's kind of quieter than some of the other songs in terms of it's got more of a chill vibe to it while still having a lot of attitude and a lot of kind of oomph in the presentation. So I think that's going to be interesting. But I feel like we should talk about Ich komme. And Angus is
I,
laughing. Your
I, s-
reaction in the Discord when you found out what this was called.
I could like I was obviously aware of Erika Vikman. I quite like Cicciolina. I also quite like a fair chunk of her back catalogue. Not all of it, but a fair chunk of the songs that I've heard in between. Thanks to the music roundup. Again, check our website for that. Good. When I saw the words Ich komme, as someone who, speaks German, I was like, this is probably going to be so not for me, and it, but probably also very popular. I could immediately tell. I was just immediately worried about what it would be like. Um, my usual expectation of non-German people using German jokes or double entendres in music just being Rammstein references. So my brain was immediately like, oh god, it's not going to be something like that. And I mean, it's not, but also isn't not, if that makes it like it's a bit
A
of
little
both.
bit borderline. I mean, it is it, it is probably exactly what I expected Erika Vikman to produce. When I heard she was going to be in the selection, this had come on the rumor mill for quite some time, um, like that she was coming back to the selection. I was like, well, it really is going to be hers to lose. Not not even having heard the song at that point, just because I know she is such an engaging performer. Like, whatever she does on stage, she is going to do it like to 10 times the like rate that somebody else might do. And I think that is such a great thing for a performer to have that even if you don't like her work, you can't deny that she's engaging. And
It's very compelling.
it really is. And I mean, I may have had a few how shall I say, horny on main moments um about this video in particular. I make very little secret of the fact that, well, let's just put this as
It was full Awooga cartoon heart eyes moment.
it really was. It really was. But I think you've got somebody with that just level of confidence and level of, is just going to go out there and deliver it. And all I hope in my heart of hearts is that I hope people understand what I mean when I say I hope they don't do a Huidemut of the staging, in that you have this amazing song and this amazing artist and the most lackluster staging when it actually comes to putting it on a stage.
Or
And
even
I,
like I don't want jokey staging for this. Like Cicciolina had jokey staging that worked for that song and was fine and a lot of fun. But this needs something more serious in that sense. Like this needs to be like this song is not meant as a joke. Like if you read the lyrics in English, it brings out a certain message. It is serious.
mm,
Um you need and obviously you cannot show it too literally on screen. It remains a family show, so we have to work around that, but it is something you need to engage seriously with.
yeah, I am hoping for a kind of almost burlesque, style of performance here, in that you are alluding to everything and not saying it in a way. Everything is, all of the parts are there. You're just asking the audience to put two and two together. Not not necessarily having it quite as in your face, if you know what I mean.
Other
Like you
thing that could
say,
work,
family
yeah.
show, family performance.
I think the other thing that could work is basically something like Shania Twain's "I Feel Like a Woman," which is obviously also an homage then to Different Song by Robert Palmer, but that kind of like she's front and center and in control, but then like there's men behind her that are dressed up in the suggestive ways that we would expect from backup female dancers usually. Like that kind of thing could work for this
Yep.
and still fall more into the regular Eurovision wheelhouse.
Mm. It's one of those things which I think is got to be careful. I've we just recorded the Malta discussion this week. We were talking about the elephant in the room there as well. We've got two songs which have interesting um parts to them this year, and if they both get through, there might be some interesting discussions happening at EBU HQ. Um, but I think out of all the ones that have been presented so far, this is the most engaging presentation out of all of them, because
Uh,
you just can't take your eyes off it.
and
Like,
I just
there has been gay men at this site who have spent the entire 3 minutes staring at her boobs.
they're very nice boobs, and she knows how to show them off. And like, it's always great for someone to feel confident in their own body and knowing how to use that as well. And Erika Vikman definitely falls into that category. And that's the thing. Like at times, if you just read the description of this song, you could worry that it is like a male gazy kind of thing that's fully like it was written by men for women. It's not. It
Yes.
can still come across that way if presented incorrectly. But absolutely, the way it's done in the music video, it feels much more like it's coming all from her. This is her personality. This is how she wants to present herself as. And that is really what makes this song work. I just had the horrible slash amazing revelation. What if Erika Vikman brings back Dita Von Teese to Eurovision?
I I mean, if anybody's gonna do it, but I mean, I I could definitely see something like that being in the presentation, even if it isn't specifically Dita Von Teese. This song feels like, I've got friends who do burlesque, and I I can see all the parallels to what those people do. And this song, in that you are a lot is left to the imagination, a lot more is left to the imagination than you think in some ways. Um, so I think it's going to be interesting to see how the presentation is. All I want is it for it to not be just boring. That's the worst thing that could happen to this. I don't need the full honey and latex situation on stage, but I do think we need just to capitalize on the engagement that she just clearly has, because she just has that great charisma. Um, and I'm sure she will be fulfilling the title of a certain Maltese song on stage.
Yes.
Right. Anything more to say about UMK in total?
I mean, I want to quickly shout out the two songs that are my favorites. I mean,
Yep.
because that then basically wraps up the six songs of the contest pretty much, except Coste, who is just Italian coded, but I still somehow like,
I mean,
but don't love.
I feel like uh, Costa. I also felt like it was slightly like Ilvoimanen coded in just such a like low key way. But he does look a little bit out of place on the headshots now that he's just like surrounded by five fierce looking women.
Yeah.
Bless
So yeah,
him.
my second place is Hitamin Huatan by Nelly Matula. It's a fairly run-of-the-mill pop song, but that kind of bombastic like rock tinged pop that we get every like on a 10-year cycle around like the second year of the decade, like 2012 had a bunch of that, 2002. Always enjoy that. And then, the one ballad, which is I think the only song in my opinion has any shot of beating Erika Vikman just by virtue of being the only ballad, and that is Aina by Vivi, which is it's not even, I wouldn't say it's an amazing ballad, but she has a great voice. And if she manages to bring it live and if the staging is there, I think it will be very much a big moment within the contest and then also at Eurovision once it gets there. But I mean, based on the popularity of the song and name recognition and just general vibes around it, this should be Erika Vikman's to just get that Eurovision ticket and then get into a whole mudslinging fight with some conservative broadcaster who wants to censor Finland at the
Maybe
contest.
just honey slinging. Who knows? Um, yeah, I agree with you that I think this is Erica's to lose. I I I I mean there is a chance of a Pascana versus No Rules moment, aka Aina versus Ich komme again. And the Finnish public, Pascal did very well last year in quite a high energy competition. I think there's a possibility that that could happen again. Um but yeah, I know a lot of people were very excited for Vivi when that name got announced. So, I there is very much, I don't think this is like 100% Erica's, but I think it's definitely stacked in her favor on this, I think. So, yeah. Right. Any final words?
Finland, just don't mess it up.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, even if you pick a song I don't like, just make sure at UMK and then at Eurovision that it's engaging.
Bring the
You know how to do
impact.
it, keep doing that.
Yes. I mean, you are a country that has got it together on visuals, on, making it look good, be good, do good. Um
Hello, brunette.
so, I just keep doing what you're doing. It's working. And can't wait to see what happens on the 8th of February. Just scrolling up to make sure it is actually the 8th of February. Yes. So yeah, I can't wait to see what happens on the 8th of February. We will be, of course, giving you more content through the site over the coming weeks, months as we get through national final season towards Eurovision.
We
So
will be live blogging UMK on our Blue Sky and potentially also on our site, so keep an eye out for that.
I think I'm doing it. So it
Oh,
would be me who would be doing that, I think.
oh.
So
Horny on main hours over at
I
that
will
at
try
that Euro
not
site on
to.
B Sky.
So yes, please check us out on of course the website that eurovision.com. Obviously like and subscribe here on YouTube. Listen to our podcast at that Euro podcast on everything. We're on every social media going as well. Um so yeah, I think all that remains to say is thank you, Angus.
Thank you, Kate.
And I will speak to you all later. It was lovely to see you all, and
Bye
bye.
bye.